Today on the Family Vacationer, we're going to talk to Rob about his family's recent impromptu trip to Pigeon Forge. Episode 104 starts right now.
Welcome to the Family Vacationer with Rob and Danny. The go-to podcast for families on the move.
Welcome, friends. I'm Rob.
And I'm Danny.
And this is episode 104 of the Family Vacationer. And as always, we're happy you're with us on this latest episode. We hope you all had a safe and happy Thanksgiving. So make sure and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. There are various ways you can interact with the show. You can go on Instagram, Facebook. We're dabbling our toes in the water of TikTok now, so check that out. You can also view the video version of the show on YouTube, and you can check out the family blog on our website, www.thefamilyvacationer.live. Now, if you were with us last week, we talked about the topic that everyone wants to know more about, travel insurance. Seriously, it was an interesting show. We talked with Lauren Gunport from the company Fay about how they're disrupting the travel insurance market and how their product differs from some of the other companies out there. It's definitely worth a listen.
Yes, and today we're going to recap a trip Rob took with his wife and two boys up to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Now, we've covered Pigeon Forge before, but Rob and his family did a lot of things on this vacation that they'd never done before. And this wasn't the trip that Rob and his wife were expecting to take. So we'll talk about that as well. So let's just get started. All right, Rob, this wasn't the trip you were expecting, right?
No. My wife and I had booked a cruise for just the two of us going to the Bahamas. And it's not something that we do a lot of, going by ourselves, not taking the kids. We were very excited about it. We had some really cool stuff planned.
Yep.
And then Ian kind of changed those plans. So,
of course, yeah, that's how it goes, man.
And I'll have to be honest. My attitude was it was pretty rough at the beginning until I kind of realized, hey, you know, there are people that are losing their lives here, and you're worried about a cruise. So I mean, you know, it was valid that my wife and I, we never take a trip, the two of us, that we weren't getting to take. But when you put it in perspective, you know, hey, it wasn't that bad of a thing. So we pivoted quickly. We decided to take the boys to Pigeon Forge. We got a good Groupon rate at a indoor water park area up there. Mm-hmm. So we surprised the kids, threw them in the car, and, you know, took off towards Pigeon Forge.
Yeah. Well, I got to admire you because my attitude would have been twice as bad as yours.
I don't know. Mine was rough.
Man, I tell you what, the Marine temper in me still tries to surface sometimes. But okay, so I appreciate that, though, because, you know, I always try to, when I get frustrated or whatever, I usually try to stop and go, people have much bigger problems than I do.
Oh, yeah.
So
for sure.
That puts it into perspective. And I hate it that so many people were affected by that in such a devastating way. But anyway, all right. So where did you guys end up staying?
So we ended up staying at Wilderness at the Smokies. It's in Sevierville, which is right next door to Pigeon Forge.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things we liked about it. Some things that, you know, weren't as great. The price was good. It was discounted because it's considered the off season. The problem was a lot of the water park is actually outdoors. And there's another outdoor water park kind of across the street with lots of stuff to do. So the boys got bored pretty quickly. Now they do in this Wilderness at the Smokies, they have like an arcade, they've got mini golf, they've got laser tag, all kinds of stuff, some bowling to do. So there's some other stuff to do, but we started quickly looking around trying to figure out what was going on in Pigeon Forge.
So I do want to say one thing about laser tag, though.
Yes.
All right. When my girls were little, I mentioned a while ago the Marine coming out. So,
oh no, Dan.
My girls and they wanted to go play laser tag, and my brain went into war zone mode. It was like, all right, girls, listen, we're going to establish a perimeter right here in this corner. You're going to cover that flank. I've got this area. We were waxing kids left and right. It was humiliating. But my girls felt victorious. Anyway, that's what happens when your dad's a Marine. So anyway,
you didn't follow around like a 4-year-old and just tag him the whole time, did you?
No, that's okay. Irritating as everything. No, we had a perimeter established, and we were We were flanked by 2 walls and we covered the rest, and we just kept waxing kids, man. It was crazy.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I'm proud of that or what, but
Yeah, well,
I'm kind
I'm
of
proud of
proud.
it for you. So, yeah.
Okay, anyway. All right, so you had some help turning this trip around, right?
We did. So a big, huge shout out to Leon Downey and the Pigeon Forge Department of Tourism. Leon, we had on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, it's been a while now, but
Yeah.
I sent him an email just to kind of see what things were going on, because he's got his finger on the pulse of everything in Pigeon Forge, and so he treated us to a VIP card, which this thing was awesome. It allowed us to experience 20 different things going on in town.
Yeah.
It was worth $1,500 a person.
You are
So
kidding me.
no, we were blown away by the kindness that they showed us, and it definitely helped, especially with the boys, kind of get us out on the town.
Yeah,
And
right.
so let's talk about some of the fun stuff we did. And
Yeah.
we couldn't actually get to all 20 things, but because we were just staying in town for 4 days. But right off the bat, I will say that some of these places we've passed them by on other trips and just not known what was going on in there, so we didn't
Mhm.
stop. But I'm really glad that we got a chance to visit. And we started off at Magic Quest. So
Okay.
Magic Quest has 4 experiences in one building. They've got the arcade, with all the fun
Mhm.
arcade games in there. They've got a what was it? A mini golf. They've got a
Okay.
mirror maze, and then a game that's actually called Magic Quest.
Right on.
So
Okay.
yeah, Magic Quest was interesting. I'm not a Harry Potter fan.
Yeah.
I'm not against Harry Potter. It's just not
Right.
really my thing.
It's not your thing, right? Okay.
Not my thing. But this game would appeal to those folks. You get issued a wand and then a book, and then the goal is to complete quests in this interactive live action role playing game. So it was fun,
Okay.
and it was definitely something different. So we definitely had fun there. One of the highlights was Wonderworks, or as my kids call it, the upside down building,
Uh-huh.
which is exactly what it looks like, an upside down building.
Yep.
They have those in other cities. I know Orlando's got one as well. I think there's one in Panama City Beach, and there's probably others. But so this was definitely more in the line of edutainment. There was some
Mhm.
education involved there.
Cool.
For instance, you could go in this thing called the Hurricane Shack, which you got to experience like 71-mile-an-hour winds.
Nice.
You could make these huge bubbles in the bubble lab, which I did a lot of that. I don't know why I was fascinated with making these huge bubbles, but I was.
Cool.
And there was a roller coaster simulator, a ropes course. There was some laser tag. We
Mhm.
spent about an hour and a half inside, and we could have easily spent more. So
Oh yeah.
I actually asked my boys a little bit ago what were the highlights of the trip for them, and
Yeah.
my oldest, who's 12, he said this was his favorite.
Nice.
So next up was kind of the divisive activity on the trip. It was the Titanic exhibit, and
Oh,
it was, to me, it was it was really awesome. So it's
yeah.
a scaled down version of the Titanic,
Yep.
and so you're issued a card as you go in, and it's one of the passengers that you get to read about, learn
Mhm.
about.
Yeah.
And then you go through this exhibit. It's got all kinds of great history about the ship, and everything that happened on the journey. It's got
Yeah.
relics.
Oh, that's cool.
It's got a total recreation of the staircase in the
Mhm.
Titanic. Totally awesome. And then at the end, you get to see if your person actually lived or died
Yeah.
on the ship. So
Yeah, we've done
really
that
cool.
before. It's amazing. And you mentioned relics. I've been to an exhibit where they had actual items from it. It's just incredible to see that history.
Yeah. Well, as a lover of history, I mean, it was great.
Yeah,
But
right.
my boys, and I'm not even saying that other kids wouldn't enjoy this, because I think depending on your child, they
Yeah.
totally might.
Mhm.
My boys, though, were bored out of their minds. So
Wow.
they don't have the same appreciation for history that I do.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I had a
so,
daughter that was everything Titanic and everything Pompeii.
oh, okay.
I mean, she could tell you pretty much everything about the Titanic. So she ate it up. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, had it just been me, or had I just had the opportunity to spend more time in there, I totally would have, because,
Yeah.
like I said, it was really fascinating. But for them, that was kind of not their favorite. But again, I'm not saying that other children wouldn't like it. If your kid's into history, totally would love that.
Hmm.
But from there, we went to Pigeon Forge Snow,
Mm.
and this is a big, huge building. This was also one of the boys' favorite stops. It's an indoor facility where you can inner tube down a snow-covered hill.
That's
So
cool.
the super cool part of it though was that they had a moving sidewalk to bring you back up to the top.
That's the
So
best part right there.
it was also, so you weren't having to, like, lug your inner tube up this set of
Yeah.
steps or anything like that.
Yeah, because
So
you're getting tired. The kid always wants to go 10 more times than your body telling you. You're like, oh no, man. We've done enough, guys. Let's move. And they're like, no, let's do it again and again and again. Kids will
yeah,
wear you out like that. They can go up that hill 20 times, no problem.
well, they probably did it, 20, 30 times. And there's also an area inside that's packed with the snow that they create,
Yep.
where you can play. Of course, there's signs saying, "Hey, don't make snowballs." My boys promptly ignored that sign and started pelting each other with
Of
snowballs.
course.
But
Yeah.
because that's what boys do. But yeah, it was great. And so the top floor of the facility is kind of a overwatch area where you can watch them play in the snow, or come down the hill in the inner tube there. So that's where my wife and I camped out for a lot of the afternoon there while they were going up and down there. But
Yeah.
but that was fun. That was one of the highlights. They had this thing. Paula Dean has a thing called a lumberjack feud, right?
Okay.
So it's a show, and it's kind of a set of activities. You can pay to do one or the other or both. We didn't stay for the show. Again, my kids' attention span is not going to say it's like a nap, but
Limited.
it's close. It's
Yes.
close.
Yeah.
But they love the activities. So when you check in, you immediately go to get your gear, which is a helmet and a harness, and then you can do one of these experiences that they have. My oldest went right for the zip line, which was
Mm-hmm.
pretty far up in the air. My youngest gave it a good shot. He didn't make it all the way up the steps, and I don't blame him, because
Yeah.
I don't care for heights either. I understand what a hold gravity has on me these days. So,
Yes, me too.
but Chase went up there, and the zip line was really more, when I think zip line, I think, you go from point A to point B,
Uh-huh.
and that's pretty much it. But this was more like a roller coaster.
Oh,
It looked super fun and terrifying.
yeah.
But he did that one maybe 3 or 4 times. And then there was a ropes course. There were several poles that you could climb, ring the bell,
Oh, yeah,
jump
right.
back down. And then they had one of those spinning logs that was in water. So
Okay.
your goal was to get across it without, obviously you were on a line, so you weren't going to actually fall in. But
Yeah.
my youngest figured out that he could just kind of coast across if he kind of put his weight on the
On
line.
the line. Yeah, right.
And so he's just going back and forth, kind of skipping across the top of the log. But they
Yeah.
had a blast with that. The show looked pretty interesting, because it was 2 sets of lumberjacks actually competing in some of the things that you might have seen on ESPN late at night, those lumberjack competitions. But
Yeah.
it looked interesting. We didn't stay for that again, but that was cool. And let's see, from there, I'm telling you, this was like a crazy scavenger hunt trying
Yeah.
to do all these experiences. But we hit the track, which I'm assuming is a sister location to the track that we go to every year in Destin, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same logo, similar experiences, got to be the same company. But they had go-karts. They had go-karts for the smaller kids. They had these water bumper boats. They had regular bumper cars. And then they had little kids rides, and of course an arcade. So as I mentioned, we hit the track in Destin every year, so this was an easy sell to the boys. They had a blast doing all these things.
Mhm.
They especially love the water bumper boats, because you can actually squirt water at the other boats, or
Nice.
your mom and dad who were just innocently trying to watch on the
Mhm.
side.
You're gonna get
they had
it.
we did. They enjoyed that quite a bit. And then I did the bumper cars with them. That was pretty fun. So we hit all of the rides there. My youngest, it was his first time being of age to actually drive one of the smaller cars by himself. So that's always kind of a coming of age moment for a kid when they get to drive their own go-kart.
That's
so
it. Yeah. Big day.
that was cool. And so after that, we hit the Rocky Top Mountain Coaster. I think there's several of these in Pigeon Forge, but this was a blast. This is one that my wife and I both did. They're like mini roller coasters, kind of on the side of I don't want to say mountain, that's too dramatic, but like a big hill.
Yeah.
You kind of come down, and I definitely recommend doing it at night where the track's lit up. Lots of cool scenery. And the cool thing about these coasters is you can control how fast you go down the mountain. So
now, are you in your own little individual car? Or are you with somebody?
Yes. No,
Okay.
you can ride with one other person, but it's they're small little carts. So
Yeah.
it's either one person or maybe two.
Yeah, I've seen
but
these. Okay.
They bring you up to the top and then you kind of go down. On our first time through, we actually had one of the carts, I guess there was a malfunction with the battery. So we got kind of stopped at the top of the hill, which we didn't really care about. It wasn't a big deal, but they were nice enough to give us another run. So we got 2 times down the mountain.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it was really cool. And they do, I think it was the next week, they kind of turned it into a haunted, it was Halloween was coming up when we went.
Yeah.
So the week after. And so they had all kinds of crazy, like scary clowns. Thankfully for me, because that freaks me out, but they had the garbage bags over most of them. There was one at the top that I kind of looked over and, did that Scooby-Doo woo kind of thing. But that was cool. I think they also do light it up around Christmas time as well. So that was probably my favorite thing that we did. I definitely recommend putting that one on your list.
Yeah.
So that was it for that day. That was a lot.
No doubt.
We slept well. We all slept very, very well that day. Let's see. We got up the next day, mini golf. So we mini golf like madmen. We probably did 4 or 5 different courses.
Wow.
Our favorite was this place called the Toy Box, which is attached to Top Jump, which is another thing that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But so it was like if Toy Story was a mini golf setup, that's what this place was. It was probably my favorite. It was definitely my 6-year-old's favorite. So when we get set up to start golfing, I don't know if my 6-year-old has done mini golf. Seems like he probably has, but I didn't remember it. So he gets up to the hole, first 2 holes, completely unaided, hole in one. Both holes.
On, man. 2.
The first one, we were still like shocked at the first one.
Yeah.
When he got the hole in one on the second hole. It was crazy. And mom and dad didn't get hole in ones. It wasn't like it was super easy either. I'm not going to say what we scored. It wasn't that great. And then later in the course, it was 18 holes. He got another hole in one.
And then you told him he's changing his career ideas.
Right. Exactly. My 12-year-old was furious and so upset because 6-year-olds getting 3 hole in ones. I think Chase, my 12-year-old, wound up with 1 hole in one, but so he was not happy with that at all.
That's
hilarious. But that was a cool course. We hit another one called Crave. So they had 2 courses. They have one on the outside, one on the inside. We did the indoor course. They're all kind of themed, all of these mini golf areas. This one was themed with like candy type themes. Yeah, it was really cool. And candy, I will tell you, I don't know if they get candy wholesale cheaper in Pigeon Forge than they do other places, but all of these places, you know how like when you go to Disney, everything winds up in a souvenir store, right?
Yeah.
Well, with all of these places, they all wound up in these, and I don't mean like they had a couple pieces of candy. I mean, any kind of candy you could possibly imagine was in these stores.
Wow.
And it was right when you got done with whatever activity, boom, there's a huge candy store. So
yeah.
So we had to make sure the kids knew we weren't going to get Oh my Lord, if they had been hopped up on all that sugar,
Yep.
we might not have made it out of Pigeon Forge.
Tell them up front. It ain't going to happen, guys.
Right. But no, the Crave courses were very cool. All of the themes that we experienced, like the Toy Box, Crave, some of the other ones that we went to, they were really cool. So
that's cool.
All of the everyone in the Jones clan enjoyed all of the mini golf that we played. I didn't enjoy getting beaten, but that's just the competitor in me, whatever.
Yeah, right. Kids have to ruin all the fun, don't they?
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate to make them run afterwards when they beat me, but my wife did not. So
oh well,
we had to come to a compromise on that one. But after that, we hit the island, which is a really cool space in Pigeon Forge. There's a ton of things to do there. There's a Margaritaville hotel, restaurant, tons of cool shops. There's an escape room. There's huge arcade. Paula Deen has a restaurant there. So we went there. We did the ropes course. The kids did the ropes course. Dad did not. They enjoyed that. And then they had a place called Skyfly, which so if you've ever done soaring at Disney, any of the Disney properties,
yes,
it was very similar to that. But if you think soaring, think a steampunk version of soaring.
Okay.
And yeah, it was really cool. The kids wound up getting their, we always try to get like 1 or 2 souvenirs. Don't go crazy with the souvenirs, but that's where they wanted them. They got some really cool steampunk looking goggles, and my 6-year-old got a top hat. So
that's cool.
That's what he wanted. So, but that was really cool. The ride itself, I'm used to Disney stuff, and this was very comparable. So it was fun.
Yeah.
Yep. And from there, we went to Top Jump, which I mentioned earlier, which is this indoor trampoline park. It's got an arcade. It's got an indoor climbing facility. It's even got an ice cream shop attached for good measure.
There you go.
And lots of candy. Lots of candy is there as well. So the kids enjoyed the jumpy parts. I mean, it was a really cool jump trampoline area, but they actually wound up spending more time at this place called Clip and Climb, which was the indoor climbing facility.
Yeah.
And facility, that's hard to say. I was a little worried for my younger son, just because they had to actually be the one to clip on their harness and then take it off and go to a different climbing. Yeah,
that's scary.
But it looked like it would be at first, and so I'm trying to make my way down just to help him, but I got waved off very quickly. My 6-year-old is fiercely independent. If he can do it himself, he is going to do it himself. Okay. And sure enough, he figured out how to do it. There was a couple times I had to come down and help him, but yeah, they spent probably 75% of the time that we spent at Top Jump in this indoor climbing facility. So they really enjoyed that. Mom and Dad had another raised platform where we could kind of watch, and I did have to go down and help them, but they enjoyed that a ton. Again, there's another arcade that they spent time in there. We didn't sample the ice cream, which is surprising, but
man, you missed out.
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. But the last thing that we were able to hit was this place called Beyond the Lens. Again, it's another place that we had passed several times on other visits. Didn't know what it was, right?
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was a lot of interactive photo opportunities. I think in that one there was I've got a picture of me behind in the Oval Office, which was cool. Actually, or no, not the Oval Office. It was the press room in the White House. So that was kind of cool. You could take a picture as an astronaut. There was a photo op where you're on the red carpet going into some, event with paparazzi all around you.
When your kid becomes a famous golfer. So
yeah. Famous putt-putter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Putt-putt. I shouldn't say putt-putt. I said putt-putt to somebody up there, and they looked at me like, putt-putt, it's mini golf.
Come on, man.
Like, you don't know what putt-putt is? Like, it hasn't been that long. Anyway.
No, it hasn't. That's what I've always called it, putt-putt.
But Beyond the Lens, there was also, like, you could play some old Nintendo. You could even play a Sega They had an
Yo,
old Sega console there, which was
right
really
on.
cool.
That is
Yeah,
cool.
you could play it like as the consoles got more advanced. You could kind of step up and play. They had little escape rooms in there, which was really cool as well. So I definitely recommend that place. They also had a kind of a 4D theater in there, which we didn't do. I'm telling you, man, we just ran out of time.
Yeah.
We were doing all this stuff, didn't have time to actually hit that part of it, but that was cool too. So that
Mhm.
was all the places that we hit as far as activities.
Okay.
That's kind of a mouthful there, isn't it?
Yeah. Sounds like you guys were seriously bored.
Yes, yes, we
No,
just didn't
really,
have enough stuff.
yeah, and that is a lot of stuff to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, and like I
Man.
said, a lot of those things we'd never done before, so it was really cool to be able to experience those.
Yeah.
I've already had several clients, ask me about Pigeon Forge, and I've been able to talk about a lot of these activities that we'd never done before.
Yeah.
There were several dinner theaters that we could have also taken advantage of. We just didn't have time. There was a rafting experience that we really wanted to do, but again, ran out of
Yeah.
time, and I was a little
Yeah.
worried about my 6-year-old. I didn't know really how that would turn out with him with rafting at his age, but yeah,
Yeah.
so we were on the go the entire time.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you mentioned that your family's been going to Pigeon Forge for a while. Um, in your opinion, how has Pigeon Forge changed over the years?
It's changed a bunch. I used to go just about every winter with my parents and my brother. We would
Hmm.
go either right before, right after Christmas in January, sometime in that area.
Yeah.
Things have changed a ton. For one, you've got Dollywood now, and
Hmm.
we've said this before. I seriously think that's one of the most underrated theme parks in the country.
Yeah.
It's a
Absolutely.
fantastic yeah, and they have that her resort Dreammore, which is fantastic. We've stayed there before.
Hmm.
They've got a water park there, lots of seasonal things to do. But in my mind, when we were growing up, Pigeon Forge was mini golf, it
Yeah.
was go-karts, and for my mom it was outlet shopping.
Yeah. That's
And
it.
so you can certainly still do all of those things. Um, but there's so much more there now. I mean, there really is something for just about every member of your family, doesn't really
Hmm.
matter what age. When we talked to Leon for our Pigeon Forge show, he talked about how they try really hard to listen to people that visit and kind of
Yeah.
develop their activities around that.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, they do a great job with it.
Hmm.
There is so much more there now than there ever used to be. It really is a year-round
Hmm.
destination that's surrounded by the Smoky Mountains and the food, dude.
Right. Right. Yes. We got to talk
Yeah.
about the food, man. All right. So, what were some of the standout places you ate at while you're there?
All right. So I think we've talked before on the Pigeon Forge show about how breakfast is
Hmm.
king in Pigeon Forge,
It
and
is absolutely.
that has not changed. I would love to give you a variety of the different places that we went for breakfast, but we ate at one place the first day, and my wife had us go there every day that we were there. So it
It
was
ain't
that
broke,
good.
don't fix it.
Exactly. I mean, she's like, we could try someplace else, but it might not be as good as this place. So
And then you've
we
missed
wound
out on
up
breakfast.
we wound up at the Applewood Farmhouse, which is in Sevierville.
Uh huh.
And that's where we went every morning. They bring out these apple fritters and apple muffins to your table with this apple butter. It's so good. The pancakes were great. The eggs, the bacon was out of this world. Man, I cannot speak highly enough about this place. And it's a complex. So there's a general store where you can buy
Mm-hmm.
all the apple butter that you want, apple ice cream, you can get cider, all kinds of stuff. You can get the adult version of apple cider with an adult beverage, right there. You can
Yeah.
get
Little kick
apple
to it.
flavored. Yeah, exactly. You can get some apple flavored ice cream. They've got a Christmas store. So we spent lots of time there. We also ate at the Old Mill restaurant, which is
Mm-hmm.
one of their iconic restaurants in
It
town.
is. Yeah.
And that was great as well. But other than that, you're going to be shocked, Dan. We really just kind of picked up food here and there because we were on the go so much.
Oh,
Just
well,
didn't have
yeah.
we didn't have a lot of time to sit down and eat. We were too busy doing stuff. So
Yeah, it sounds like it. Well, all right. Any final thoughts on the trip or on Pigeon Forge in general?
yeah, I just reemphasize that it's a year-round destination, and they're depending on what time of year you go, there are different things that you can become a part of, or there's so many unique things to do, as well as some tourist staples, like the go-karting and the mini golf. Plenty of mini golf,
Yeah.
plenty of go-karts, got all that. But there's also some really unique stuff to do as well. They had an escape room there that I really wanted to do. There was one room that was a Star Trek theme,
Mm-hmm.
and then another one that was a Scooby-Doo themed room.
Right on.
So
Okay.
I really wanted to do that. We just didn't have time. We didn't get to hit Dollywood this time. Dollywood was doing their harvest celebration, which is so cool. There's just so much stuff, there to do. And like I mentioned, there's several dinner theaters that are constantly packed. They have great reviews. Just didn't have a chance to do that. But the lodging options in the area are really cool as well. Because if you want, a national franchised hotel like a Marriott or something, they've got, chances are that they've got something that's going to suit your budget and whatever your needs are, all the way to, cabins and chalets that are kind of removed from everybody. So if you want to be in the center of the action, you can do that. You kind of want to be removed a little bit, where you kind of have your own fireplace to sit in front of. If you're there in the wintertime, they've got that as well. So, I hate looking at a city or an area as a product, right? But in this case, it's hard not to, and to say that, it's a well-rounded offering. As I mentioned, just something for everyone. And really appreciative towards, again, the Pigeon Forge Department of Tourism for giving us the chance to see and do more than we ever have before. So it was a really good trip.
Awesome.
Hey everyone, if you're ready to plan your next family vacation, call my dad. He would love to help you as a certified travel agent. He never charges a fee to help you plan your vacation. Email him at rjones@starsteptravel.com. Get started planning your vacation today.
Well, that does it for this week's show. Join us next week as we start a quick series on places to visit during the Christmas holidays. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Family Vacationer. Make sure and subscribe to hear more of Rob and Danny.